I can't believe that this movie is finally happening, finally filming, and that these are some of the things we can expect to see. I mean, hopefully, because they are theories. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. It's me, Amanda. Join me as we count down the top 10 terrifying FNAF movie plot theories. What terrifying theories do you have about the FNAF movie? Who do you think will survive? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, Scott Cawthon. One of the biggest theories that I think most people are still hoping for, even given the controversy that surrounded the game's creator, is that Scott Cawthon himself will appear in the film. At least, hopefully his voice will. Many people have theorized and are hoping that Scott will appear as the phone guy. Some fans have even said that casting anyone else would be a disgrace, a travesty, because Scott honestly just nails it as phone guy and is basically irreplaceable to them. I feel like there are other performers who could also do a good job in that role, but I agree that Scott's portrayal has pretty much become iconic, so not having him in the role if phone guy does appear would be disappointing. I too hope we get to hear that familiar voice in the film. Hello, hello! And friends, before we move on to this next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, and if you love it when we do FNAF content, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button. Number 9, FNAF 1. Some have theorized that the Five Nights at Freddy's film will start at the beginning with the plot of the first game being the focus of this film. The first game had us in the role of the nighttime security guard and confined to one space, the office, where each night began with a phone call from the previous security guard that we're taking over for, the phone guy, who in his last days, likely his literal last days, even alive, recorded messages to help us learn our new role and stay safe. I don't think this one will be quite as literal of an adaptation if we get it, but I could see us getting the plot of a new security guard coming in who starts to notice strange things happening at the pizzeria that end up leading him to make a bloody discovery. However, I'm not sure if this will be Michael or not and what role the kids in the film might play. Will they simply become victims, or will they possibly defy their in-game fate with the new security guard teaming up to help save them? Number 8, Death by Suit. This is one we are all expecting will be headed our way for sure. I mean, considering how this is supposedly the end we are threatened with should we not be diligent enough during our first night shift, I think it's no surprise that people have pondered this might be the way someone goes when it comes to one of the deaths that we're gonna get in this movie. I think most fans are hoping that they will be pretty gruesome deaths. Now, you know, they don't have to be super gory to me really, but they do need to be creative in how they show or don't show but imply deaths in the film. And one of the worst ways to go would be the one simply that phone guy warns us of. How if the animatronics catch you, they might think you're basically an endoskeleton outside of your suit and then try to shove you in one. Which you know is a problem because you can't fit in a suit that has all the stuff in it that isn't pulled back, so ugh. Number 7, FNAF 6. I actually really love this theory for the Five Nights at Freddy's film. Pizzeria Simulator I think would be an amazing game to see brought to life because, well, I just think it would be a lot of fun. Think of the tapes that we watch that are in there to train us in how to best run our pizzeria and welcome us in. How much fun would it be to incorporate all that cheesy goodness into the movie? I personally would be super here for that. And then the end of FNAF 6 is completely horrifying with the fire at the pizzeria pretty much engulfing everyone and supposedly freeing all of the souls of those possessed animatronics. Although, it still isn't really clear if this actually worked in terms of the lore, considering that some of those souls seem to perhaps still be lingering around. Anywho, it seems unlikely that this will be the case, considering that many people already think, based on what we've seen, that the film will be more inspired by the first game. But it could be cool to see some of those cheesy elements at least incorporated into the movie. After all, the movies don't have to match the story or even sequence of actions from the games. The story for the films could basically be completely different, but simply inspired by that first game, with influences from any number of the other games woven into it. Number 6, Saved by the Mask. Of course, when it comes to the games, we all want to see that death by suit, but another thing that a lot of fans are theorizing and hoping for in the film is that we will also see someone else, the main survivor likely, dodge this type of death by donning an animatronic head or mask. I personally would love to see this. I think this addition to the second game was super helpful and almost just as terrifying at times as getting jump scared. The anxiety that builds up is palpable when you put on that Freddy head, and even the visuals that you get as you peer out from the two cutout eyes and hope that you acted fast enough to avoid that jump scare, I mean, it really is exhilarating and terrifying all at once. And imagine the perspectives that we could play with in the film, seeing this action both from the inside of the mask and perhaps from the outside as well. Also, there's just something terrifying about a person, you know, not wearing like a full suit but just a mask while like dressed normally. It's just odd and off-putting, to be honest to me. I both kind of love it, but I'm also kind of terrified by the prospect of just that visual. 5. FNAF 5. The 5th FNAF game is probably my favorite game of them all, so this is one that I would love to see brought to life. I think it has one of the best narratives and is one of the games with the best sense of atmosphere, making it perfect for a horror film. It's easier to follow from a narrative sense, but still creepy as all heck. However, as I said previously, I'm not sure if this is where we'll be going, considering most people think the first game is the one we'll be following along more closely with, which, to be honest, fair. However, that being said, I still think the 5th FNAF game would make the best inspiration, especially in regards to the overall feeling of the film. At the very least, I hope the film takes inspiration from us having to navigate vents with animatronics in them. That seems like it would be a great takeaway from FNAF 5 to incorporate into the games. Cramped spaces in general are terrifying, never mind a cramped space where there might be something lurking in the darkness waiting to get you. Number 4. Sister location. This time around, I just want to talk about the specific location that we know as the sister location, Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. I'm really hoping that we at least allude to this location if it doesn't just get like fully shown in the film. I really would love for us to have some kind of cliffhanger ending for the movie where this is the location we see at the end and it's actually shown to be deep underneath the restaurant. I know this goes kind of against some of the lore from the games in regards to what we know of Circus Baby's entertainment and rental, but I really think it could be a cool moment for us to showcase. At some point, I think this is a place that needs to be created for a live action project, so I'm really hoping we get that sooner rather than later, because we've already waited a really long time. Also, I just really love the idea of Circus Baby as an antagonist, and the idea that she might even appear in the film or somehow be connected to the plot would be really cool to me. However, she is intrinsically tied to the sister location in the games, so we can't really have Circus Baby without either Circus Baby's Pizza World or Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. Number 3. Vents. The vents are a place you definitely don't want to end up, nor do you want them to even exist in a FNAF game, really. I mean, they're the place that either animatronics come out of, or that you need to sneak through, or even worse, both of those things at the same time. So I mean, yeah. But at the same time, when it comes to a film where nothing can harm you, because you're just watching the film, you're not even interacting in the same way like you do in a video game, you definitely need the vents to be an integral part of the movie and how characters move around, whether they be animatronics or simply people trying to survive the night. Never mind he's in the walls, my god, he's in the vents, is something we should all be screaming after coming out of this movie. Number 2. The end? One of my personal biggest theories for this movie is that it is going to end on a cliffhanger. I anticipate that this may even be followed by a mid-credits or a post-credits scene, like we now see with so many franchises that people build or are trying to build, primarily with superhero movies, but yeah, this is like become a franchise thing now. I can't imagine that they will leave us with a fully complete story, because I think they'll want to leave it open to potentially continue said story elsewhere at a later time, should the movie do as well as many are anticipating. Of course, it also depends. I mean, you can have a complete story without a cliffhanger ending and still have it roll into a multi-film franchise. Just look at other successful horror film franchises like Scream, Final Destination, and Hellraiser, all of which kind of felt like complete packages but then continued on. Okay, so Final Destination kind of left it open for a sequel, but it still felt like a kind of a complete loop. It could have ended with the first film, but it definitely did not. FNAF could go the same way, but I feel like a more the killer is still out there ending is more likely all in all, just based on what we know from the games and even from the books. Number 1. The big bucks. Personally, I think that this film won't just be a single film. It will be an entire film franchise. How could it not be? FNAF is so popular and is already massive when it comes to the dollars that it rakes in, and the film, or hopefully films, could simply be the next level for the franchise, especially in terms of those dollar bills. It could help the much loved initially indie franchise reach an entire new audience, expanding its fan base. My theory here is not scary necessarily for fans, but is scary in the sense that it could lead to a ton more horror film content building up the entire FNAF CU, or the FCU, the Five Nights at Freddy's cinematic universe, or just Freddy's cinematic universe if you prefer. I believe that the first FNAF film will set up a whole series of other films which will follow in the franchise, or potentially even spin off into like TV series. Like, there's a lot of stuff we could do here. And personally, I'm here for that. I hope this film sets up others, and I hope it does well at the box office and in terms of the fans and critics' opinions, so that it can continue to build on the lore and the franchise we've all already honestly fallen in love with. That's all the time we have for this video. I hope you enjoyed imagining some of the terrifying stuff we can hope to find in this film with me. When it comes to the FNAF games, which one would you want to see turn into a film? Would your first pick actually be the first game, or would it be a different one? Let us know. I'll see you next time, but until then, watch out for jump scares and keep on gaming on. Pew pew!